All right. This is a new series, and I'm really excited to have Dr. Chris Colgin on with me today. We're going to be addressing some really important topics that so many people don't understand the depth of this topic that we're going to be talking about over the next 5 days, but it's leaky gut. And what you and I have done is we've teamed up to bring people solutions for what a lot of people are very probably interested in on this topic, but we can give them some clarity on what leaky gut is and how we can start to get them pre-framed to understanding some solutions that they can follow to get themselves more healthy from inside out. And today's topic is clean. And we're going to be talking about 5 C's over the next 5 days and how the 5 C's equals the 1 T, which is transformation. And what we really want to do is transform people's lives into becoming a better version of themselves to where they have long-term health from inside out. So Dr. Chris, welcome to the conversation today.
Oh, thank you. It's so great being here. I appreciate this, Jim.
Yeah. So let's just start rolling this out to people and talking to them about our first topic, which is cleaning the home environment. And so many people, they're probably thinking like, what the heck does the home environment, how does that correlate to my internal health? And how does this help with like planning a protocol for leaky gut?
Yeah, well, everything starts at home. My wife is famous for telling me, she goes, Chris, world peace begins at home, and it starts usually in the kitchen. Okay, so the biggest thing that we're seeing is what are we doing to cause these digestive problems, right? It's not like something you catch out of the air. It's not something you acquired. It's something that you're doing. I mean, you are the cause of your digestive distress. So we got to figure out, okay, how am I doing that, and what it is that we're using. And this goes anywhere from we start, especially in the kitchen, with our cleaning products. All right. How those are some of those products that are made are the most toxic products that have ever been designed, that actually do more harm than good, than taking away the germs right now. Okay. So we always like to look at, what is the toxicity of the cleaning products we are using, and can we find something that is less toxic or organic in nature, good organic, not like, organic lab type thing, but more just healthier and biodegradable, versus something that is so toxic that, God, if we spray it in our kitchen, we're just wondering, are we going to get some kind of side effect from using it on a daily and cumulative basis? So that's one part.
Yeah, and I know that there's other things that go into like the home, which are our cabinets and our kitchen. And you said that most of the peace in the family is made at home. But let's talk about how can we turn peace in our kitchen environment into a healthier situation for our lifestyle.
Sure, of course. And, especially now more than ever during this, COVID climate, there's a lot of, let's just say, comfort food in those cabinets, right? Things that we just love to kind of like, we always tend to walk in the kitchen more often than we used to because we're at home more often. So we really got to look at what are we doing to self-sabotage our own health and well-being. For example, like sugar, carbs, the cookies, the chips, the dips. Really, every now and then is one thing, but when it becomes an everyday habit, let's just say that's not going to work out for you, and that's going to cause you more distress and problems with digestion. And then also not only just that, but you're going to tend to put on a few more inches or a few more pounds over time. So these are the things we want to look at as what kind of healthier things can we have in the cabinet rather than things that just appeal to our appetite or to our cravings.
Yeah, and I think that this goes back to that whole idea of trigger foods. And a lot of times people think that they're really feeding themselves healthy, but you told me something during our conversation yesterday is that we need to train people how to eat to live rather than living to eat. And I think that there's a huge paradigm shift that we need to teach people healthier habits, and we need to get them away from the trigger foods. And step 1 to leaky gut solutions is teaching people how to get rid of these trigger foods and to clean up that home environment to where when they are, going in their circles around their home, that when they do stop into that kitchen area, that they're not jumping on the cookies or the cakes or the chips or whatever, like are those comfort foods, like you said, especially around the holidays.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, that which is the next couple of weeks, and right after Thanksgiving. Of course, we got everything that goes with it. But yeah, you're right, and especially too from a cultural standpoint, of living to eat. I'm Filipino Hawaiian, on my late mother's side, and so when you visit relatives, and I mean, it is like you are literally living there to eat. Okay, and we always know that that's just kind of a one of those things that when you visit for a holiday event or a birthday or some kind of celebration, that's what tends to happen anyways. But we're finding that kind of eating happening way too much and more common and on a daily basis rather than on an every now and then basis. So yeah, that plays that cumulative effect, right? So we're kind of looking at, oh, I can't wait to have that. That looks so good versus, well, I can't wait to have that because I know I'm going to feel so good after I eat it. Okay, so that's a difference, and especially now as I'm in my late 40s, when I go to a restaurant or when I go to places to dine, one of the biggest things that I do as a metric is how do I feel when I leave? Do I feel like, oh my goodness, I gotta go? I wish I had a cot back here to take a nap. Or do I feel like, wow, I actually feel pretty good. I still have energy considering what I ate, and I'm looking forward to sleeping really good tonight. Those are the differences, kind of like a litmus test I use now when I dine or eat. Yeah.
And I know as we've gotten to know each other over the past couple of years, we've obviously had a lot of conversations about healthy habits for people and how we could team up together to give people resources to take action for a better quality of life. And we're putting together a master class on leaky gut that we're inviting everybody to join us for. The link's in the description above. Please pre-register at that link. It's going to be a webinar that Dr. Chris is going to be hosting, and we're going to talk about a lot of great information to get people transformation. And if it might not be for you, the actual person watching this right now live or on replay, you might get this in an email. But whoever's getting this information, maybe you have somebody that you're very close to that doesn't want to speak up about some of the gastrointestinal distress that they're in. And maybe you can just give them the link and they can register, or you can register yourself and learn as much as you can. So where this master class is going to help educate people on what they can do to have a better quality of life.
Jim, you hit it right on the head there. I mean, there's so many people out there that need help. They're just kind of embarrassed or afraid to ask for it. And one of the biggest things I've known growing through the years is you should never be afraid to ask for help, especially during these times right now. We're, between the stress that we're dealing with, between people being, jobless, working from home, not able to see friends and loved ones, not able to honor people like they once were able to do that before. I mean, there's just a lot of things people are going through that's affecting them internally, from all the anxiety and emotions they're going through. So please, what we do, we're your partner in all this here. You're not alone. And that's why we are purposely having this webinar, so we could be of service and help you transform your life, so that way you never have to see these kind of days again. Yeah.
Yeah. And as I get more information on some of the conditions around leaky gut, we're going to go into more details over the next 5 days. So make sure you stick with us on this Facebook Live series that we're doing with these conversations about leaky gut solutions, because as we go through this process, there's going to be a lot of great takeaways for you. And there's going to be a lot of information, but all roads lead back to the webinar that we're having next Thursday, December 17th, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please share this link. Be generous with the information that we're sharing with you also. If you're watching now, share this Facebook Live to your groups. Get as many people registered for this information as you can with us, and be an advocate for other people in your life, because we, like Dr. Chris said, you guys are not alone. And now more than ever, we all need to support each other with good information and great resources. So if you do have questions for either Dr. Chris or I, you can find us on Facebook Messenger and send those directly to us. We'll be sure to address it, but please pre-register for this webinar that will be December 17th, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And Dr. Chris, I want to thank you so much for being on today and tackling some of these ideas about cleaning up people's home environments and how the home environment affects their internal environment and how the internal environment affects the health of their gut. And so many times people are afraid, they're taking antacids, they're bloated, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the distress that they have with eating food and how it makes them feel. Like you said, you don't want to go out for a meal and feel like you have to take a nap immediately after that. So right. we want to feed the body for performance. We don't want to feed the body to feel like it's sluggish and sick.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Exactly right.
I know we had one last topic that I wanted to touch on before we jump off the webinar, and that's clean food versus dirty food. And a lot of times people think that they're eating really clean, right? But they might be a little misconstrued on what clean food really is. And I know that fruits and vegetables are probably our go-to and lean meats is our go-to, but let's talk a little bit about what people might think is clean food and how we can maybe dispel some of their ideas around that.
Yeah, well, I mean, food has changed so much. I mean, especially when you and I were kids, all right? I remember my mother used to, as kids, and this is in the 70s and 80s, we have to do so much now when we read labels. The only thing my mother cared about at the time was this one word that started with a P, and that said preservatives, all right? It wasn't so much the sugar, but it was the preservatives. That was her number one thing. So, of course, we couldn't have all those fun cereal boxes, like the Cocoa Puffs or the Lucky Charms and things like that, right? So we had to eat, the healthier ones like the Corn Flakes or a grape nut. What was that? Yeah, right. Or oatmeal. Those were the things that we used. And back then, we used to ride our bikes to school, okay, or walk. And so we used that energy, immediately after we ate. So we were very fortunate with the childhood we had back then. But the thing about clean foods today is food has changed. I mean, we're looking at a lot of GMOs, which stands for genetically modified organisms, right? Now, these are different kinds of foods that, have what we call glyphosates, which are very toxic to the body, okay? And we also have things, like high fructose corn syrup. Something may say, diet, fat-free, safe or sugar-free or whatever it is.
Natural.
All natural. Yeah, and what is truly all natural now again, right? So you really got to pay attention to that. But the biggest thing, like for example, the number one GMOs in America is corn and wheat. Back when we were kids, it was eating the wheat bread, not the Wonder Bread, right? It was having corn on the cob. It was, and unfortunately, the vast majority of our farms are have GMO seeds now. Farming has changed altogether. It's just it's a shame. So you really got to read the labels and realize, count how much sodium is in there. When it comes to your meats, where are you buying them from? Are they grass-fed meats? Are they organically fed? All these things come into play. And that we could actually do a whole webinar on that, Jim, if we wanted to in the future, we just might. But it's also there's also one missing component that a lot of people kind of overlook is they're not getting in enough water to wash this food out of their digestive tract, okay? It's just sitting there, right? It's putrefying. It's not cleaning the body out. And I'm talking about water, right? Filtered water. I don't care what mountain or spring or country it comes from, but something that is purified and is healthy for you rather than what's coming out of the tap. So water is essential. And, the common thing I tell people is, you want to drink at least 8 to 10 cups of water a day, which is 64 to 80 ounces, to really help clean your body out, reduce appetite, reduce those cravings, and just keep those toxins out of you as much as possible. It's almost not so much the clean eating or clean foods, it's also the clean drinking. How much more drinking are we doing versus clean drinking or clean eating? These are all things we've got to consider now.
And a lot of times when people are hungry, they're actually dehydrated. So those are really important things for people to think about. We're going to cover tomorrow. We have another part in this 5-part series, and we're going to be talking about cleansing and detoxing. So if you found some value in today's conversation with Dr. Chris and I, please meet us tomorrow for our series that continues, and pre-register for the webinar that we're doing next Thursday, the 17th. Dr. Chris, I know that our time is coming to a close today, and I just want to thank you for sharing your knowledge with the audience today. People that need this information now more than ever, and Leaky Gut Solutions will help a lot of people.
That's right, and that's that's our thing. We're here to help. We're here to be of service. And that's the bottom line. So thank you for everyone for joining us, and thank you, Jim, for being a great host today.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful to be able to get people on to more knowledge about leaky gut and some of the health conditions that are actually tied to leaky gut that most people are unaware of. So eating is one component to it, but there's a lot of things that are entrenched inside of people that we know as illness, but we're going to help people understand and decode some of their disease. So, Dr. Chris, I will say goodbye for today, but we will see you tomorrow.
All right. Look forward to it.
All right. Thanks for sharing so openly.
All right. You're very welcome. Aloha.
Bye-bye.